What have you seen? What kind of energy has Andrei Kuzmenko brought into your room?
A lot. I mean, you guys would have just questioned him for a while. I mean, he's a bubbly personality where, he's always got a smile on his face. You don't always know what he's saying, but I think that's what makes him a pretty good person for our room. Guys enjoy having him around so far, and I think he's fit into our group really well so far.
And are you seeing some signs that's been a nice fit, that trio? I mean, I know it's been only 4 games and it's still pretty fresh, but are you seeing good signs there?
Yeah, we are. The last game in MSG there wasn't a great game for the line, but the other ones were on the road trip. So I thought they had some chemistry. They made some plays in the offensive zone, and that's the key thing for that line is they have to play with pace. They have to find that pace to allow them to play in the offensive zone, because once they're in there, they can make plays. And we've seen over those games that they have the ability. All 3 of them can get some things done.
Have you found his play away from the puck? It looked like he has been making some good defensive plays as well.
Yeah, like I said, the 3 prior games, there really hasn't been a lot of time spent by that line in the defensive zone. They've been in the offensive zone more often than not. This last game against the Rangers, I thought they were underwater a little bit, and they spent too much time in that zone. So you can see some areas where we're going to have to work on all 3 of them for that matter, but really trying to reinforce what the strength of that line will be. So it's finding the pace that they have to play with to allow them to play more in the offensive zone where they can be really dangerous for us.
You talked about this a little bit on the road, so I apologize for
okay.
repeating the question. But it would have been so easy for this group, with Elias being traded, there are trade rumors circulating, for this group to sort of get deflated, and instead it almost looked like they came together and looked better than before. I mean, you must be very proud of that, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's something we've dealt with all year long. There's been noise from the beginning of the year around us, and I think our leadership group led by Michael has been fantastic at making sure that, hey, we have a job to do when we're at the rink, and this is the time when we can focus on just playing the game, and all the other stuff stays outside. So for them, I think that's our leadership group's done a really good job. But the second thing with that, when you bring in new people into your lineup, there's new energy that comes along with them. And the people that we've brought back, we all know Jacob Pelche. He's a little bit like Kuzi, but French. So he's got a bubbly personality about him. Rooney coming back's bringing new energy because he wants to prove that he's an NHL player. Pahal coming over, picked up on waivers. They're all people that want to have an impact on our lineup, and they're bringing some good energy because of that.
Speaking of Peltier, obviously it's a relief whenever any player isn't too serious with an injury, but we saw that he's day-to-day.
Yeah.
Given the work that he's put in, it just must be a relief that he's not have to go through it again.
I mean, it happens. That's part of the game. Unfortunately, you want everybody to be able to skate through 82 games and not have a bump or bruise, but they're going to have them. And for him, it is a day-to-day thing, and we're anticipating we'll see him back sooner than later, which is really good.
I know you lost the last game of the trip, but
yeah.
It looked like you kind of got goalied in the second and third periods as well against the Rangers. But that 4-game stretch, is that right near the top as far as you're concerned this season?
We've had some good stretches beside that as well. I mean, we got goalied, but we goalied them in the first period too, is the other way you can look at it. That game could have been 4-0 after one period. But the game in Boston, I would say, was our most complete game, and I thought we had stretches in both New Jersey and on Long Island where our game was pretty complete with how we played. So the team game part of it, Wilsey, I would probably say, that's maybe the best we've looked, and the enthusiasm that's come along with it was nice to see as well.
How big has it been to be able to roll 4 lines and 3 pairings for the most part?
I think that's one of the biggest changes in our team. So when you have everybody feeling like they're of value or they can contribute to the team, they feel better about themselves. And on the flip side of things, it's taking away some of the heavier minutes from, let's call it, our top 4 or some of our top forward lines. Because when you get tired, that fatigue doesn't really hit the body because they're well-conditioned athletes, but it hits the mind. And that's where you see some of the mistakes coming with the puck. And when you're able to reduce some of the minutes from those key players, if you want to call them that, for us, I think it goes a long way in making us a better team.
And when you make a significant move like that as an organization, trading your number 1 center, like do you talk to the team as a whole? Like, do you address the group?
We didn't address it at all. Yeah.
What does that say? Like it's just you kind of feel like the players go about their business.
They totally do, and that's the one thing we're proud of them for, and we'll continue to be that way. It's not going to change them. They know they have a job to do. They have to come to the rink every day and play their best. And if you're worried about who's in our lineup or who's out of the lineup, then you're looking for excuses, and that's not what this is all about.
Ryan, it seemed like on the trip there was even maybe a little bit more defensive responsibility on that backline line. Do you even hesitate when you just know that when you throw them out, they're probably going to win their shift? Like, I'm just curious what that does as a coach, knowing that you've got a line that so often just goes out and that's what it is.
Yeah, well, it's a nice thing to have when you have complete trust in a line. They'll get the job done right. Like the game in New York, since they've been together, the three of them, was probably an off game for them. You could say our last one. And when you look back at the rest of their games, you don't really see that. They control a lot of the play with how they play the game. Because of that, you trust them in every situation, whether you're starting them on a defensive zone face-off or if you flip it around and you have them take an offensive zone face-off, they're going to get the job done. And I think all three guys feed off of each other. And for a coach, as you mentioned, it's nice to know that when things get a little bit hairy at times, because they will throughout a 60-minute game, you have a line that you know that you can put them on the ice and they're going to settle things down if need be, or they're going to pick the energy up for your team. So they've done an excellent job with that.
Ryan, just to circle back on Pelche, if it's just a day-to-day thing, as you said, and the team has announced, like, is there a significance for him of taking a hit with a surgically repaired shoulder and it all being okay?
Sure, absolutely. I think that goes for anybody when they're coming back from injury, for one. That's why they go through all the steps. In practice, you're not going to have a teammate run you like you'd see in a game, for sure. But that's still a part of the steps where they're in contact and they realize, yeah, okay. And a lot of times that, in his case, his repaired shoulder is stronger than his other one. And then it's just a matter of, like you said, getting over the hump where they recognize and realize that I'm 100 and probably 5%, if you want to call it that. They're good to go. And then once they 100% trust that, then they don't become an issue anymore. And I think this will help them for sure.
Has Dan Vladar been able to skate at all?
Yeah, he was on the ice today. Yeah.
Are you able to get, like, is he pretty close to being able to run the group?
Yeah, he's in our minds, he's a day-to-day type thing as well. Very similar to what we did with Jacob a couple of weeks back. It's very similar with Dan. So he was on the ice today and will be moving forward as well.
How you start to have more success at home? I think you mentioned that that's
Yeah.
a priority.
It's important for us. Like we've done a good job on the road. We're above 500 on the road, which is a good thing for our team, and it's put us in a position where in striking distance of a wild card spot. If we want to get that spot, then this becomes priority for us. So we have to take advantage of the extra games we have here. We have a great building to play in. There's got to be a lot of extra juice from our part so we can get the extra juice from our great fans, and then we can just build on that and keep momentum going.
Talk about that extra juice. I mean, do you get the sense maybe that Kuzmenko's kind of showmanship and just all the buzz about him joining this team maybe can bring that out of the fans tomorrow night moving forward?
Yeah, I think... Yeah, I do believe he's going to be a fan favorite. Just when people see the energy that he brings to the table, like always smiling, and people like that. It's infectious. So he's got a skill set about him too that I think will endear him to some people around here. When the puck's on his stick, he wants to score and he knows he can score, and that's a good thing for an offensive player to have. And he gives us another threat that we didn't really have before, especially on our power play.